I got you, man. I got you. No, it's pouring down. We got a Gulf storm come in. So, yeah, it's pouring down out here. But it is what it is when you live in the swamps.
You have to
So,
think that if you're a farmer and you have crops, something like rain can be a blessing. It can be,
oh
the
yeah,
holy thing that grants you a bountiful crop, and that's what you want. But here in LA, they fight against weather. They fight against it because they love to
you
say
can't be sunny. You can't do that.
grow locally, but you're not supporting California farmers when you pollute the air, which shrivels up their crops that they're trying to feed you with.
Yeah. No, I totally got you. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? I'm having a good conversation with my buddy Ian. I'll check you guys as soon as we have a little bit of time. All right, guys? But yeah, so yeah, the conversation we were having earlier about the Martian civilization thing, guys. If y'all go join his channel, that's why I put it in the description. Y'all go check him out, all right? Because this guy's trying to get humanity to Mars. Idea, which I've had for a long time, and I actually got the idea from Jules Verne, creating an underground society. However, instead of making it completely dark and subterranean and just living off lights and everything, I thought about creating massive, mile high, huge like craters underground, like 4 or 5 miles underground, and then lining the roofs with giant panels that create UV sunlight, and then lining the bottom with about 9 to 10 feet of good topsoil and clay. And then, of course, filling it with the right proper biodome and ecosystems such as earthworms and you know, get the proper scientists together and everything like that to create a full-fledged ecosystem where it's literally self-sustaining. You don't really have to do anything to it once it gets going. Same like sealed terrariums in a lot of ways. And then there's your civilizations. You need to do another one, you dig another tunnel. You make it so many miles out, you dig another cavity, you do the same thing, and bam, another civilization. So that was an idea that I had. That way we don't mutate into these weird looking Morlock, weird things.
This is why I love talking to you, Clint, because you're incredibly intelligent. And that idea is something that is credible and it is necessary because living in America, you are being blanked out of money every single second, every turn. Like these people are talking about rent in my channel, and why are you paying for a couch? I'm saying the same exact thing. Why am I paying for a stove when I could have a restaurant within my building and
Yeah,
just cook there? A full restaurant in my building, not just a rinky dinky little stove. And I could say, well, if I make too much, how about you eat some? Because portions in America have always been, you eat alone, right? You eat alone. How about you just shove this entire pie of pizza in your mouth? Shove it all in because, that's all that you think you're worth. And when you should have said is, well, I need to find some friends. It's 8 slices. Do the math. You're supposed to have 7 friends or you don't buy that. But in America, it's always been, well, maybe that's a pizza pie for 2 people. So either you or your partner is fat enough that you need 4 fucking slices, or you
what's
just.
up, everybody?
So I want to see
Hey, how
change.
you doing? Yeah, no, I totally get you. I have to say, I was 360 pounds at one point. So, yeah, I used to eat a whole large pizza to my damn self.
Same here.
So, yeah, so I used to eat a lot, but I've since kind of changed, except for yesterday. I ate like 3 quarters of a cantaloupe, but it was good. But at least it was fruit. you know. But yeah, I was also thinking, me as a hunter in these areas, you're gonna have to have something where the plants won't go crazy. So you would actually need to be able to bring over some animals that like deer and hog and things like that and release them out into the wild so you could have something to hunt and you'd have things filter out the dead animals and everything like that. It would have to be a large project. Basically you're creating Noah's Ark.
And you need to. You know, we have such short memories as a species because every time we have a giant crisis like 9/11 or even the COVID pandemic, we have it in our heads and then we let it go. We let it go that America was invaded by a virus and no one stopped it. The CDC didn't stop it, your president didn't stop it, and then you going about your day didn't stop it either because you didn't say, you know what, I'll stay at home or I'll learn to cook it myself or I'll start a sustenance farm. If I need tomatoes, then I'm just going to grow them in my kitchen instead of going to the grocery, getting a disease and bringing it back to my children. But
Yep.
we don't think that way in America. We just say, well, I guess it's a little bit better now. Go back to the groceries. It's like, no, no, no. People will sneeze in your face and then take you out. It's
or
weaponized biological warfare in America now.
or worse, the little kid that runs up, grabs your leg, and wipes his nose on your leg and runs off, and you're like, "You little snot nosed brat!" That's happened to me. You
Oh,
know,
I laugh because I say to myself, they're so cute and adorable until they send you to the hospital.
they're absolutely adorable until they ruin your brand new pants. Because now you got green boogers all over it. You're just like, you know. You want to look at their parents and be like, "Seriously, man," you know. But it's okay because the little guy was sick, so I let it go on that day. But yeah, still, kids are illness. I'm sorry, when you have children, you'll learn. If you already got kids, you know. But children are illness because when they go to school, they're exposed to so much, and their little immune systems just ain't ready for it yet. You know, um, that's why I'm a firm believer in having pets because pets actually increase the immune system of children. Not only that, they increase their intelligence because they learn to play with the dog or the cat or whatever. They learn how to interact. They also learn body language sooner than most people do. So there's a lot of benefits to having pets in your family. And that's also another thing about defending yourself. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So I agree in teaching weapon safety and gun safety. I don't believe in you shouldn't have it. I believe you should have it to defend yourself because the criminals are always going to have it. And
I
then so
agree with you completely.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
I've heard you talk about your Amendment rights, and I've always supported you on that. I just, from what you just said to me about starting a new civilization and the criminals being out there, the criminals are there because there's such an economic divide between people that I don't empathize with criminals, but I do conceptualize what they're thinking in their heads. And what they're thinking in their head is, I've been starving for days. I can't get a job in this economy because everything that's going on. I have so much riding on bringing back some money that I want to turn to violence when we should be saying as a society, what do you really need? Because there are people who are robbing you for drugs, and I don't agree with that. But there are some people who are robbing you because they're starving,
yeah,
and we can't share some of the food that we have. We can't put food aside. How many supermarkets say at the end of the day, oh, that expired or that'll expire in 2 3 days?
and,
Just
and
chuck it in the
that'll
bin.
expire in an hour. You know,
There's starving people right outside your place that you could just say, you know what, it's good right now. Can you eat it? All right, here you go. There should be a program for that in every city. And if there isn't, then maybe I'm living in the wrong place because What you're talking about, with the gun safety, I agree with you, but that's for living in an America that I don't even want to live in anymore. I don't want to live in an America where it's us against them. I want to live in a society that says we. Finally, for once, it's a we, because we have power together. I talked on my channel
Exactly.
about my solar panels throughout America program that I'm having, where it's free electricity. You no longer have an electric utility company telling you, we need to charge you for electricity. There's a nuclear explosion in the sky. It provides more than enough energy for every man, woman, child to charge their cell phones, refrigerators, cars, whatever. You'll never pay another bill if you just say we. For once, say we. That's all I have to say on that.
Hang on a second, man. I got a message. All right. Sorry, my girlfriend was messaging me. I did a boo boo again. I forgot she's supposed to be on here.
Oh, of course, of course, of course.
That's okay though. I explained to her I was trying to cheer you up. She likes you, you know.
Oh,
She thinks you're a really great guy. You know, she's just gets a little upset at me sometimes, but I'll take care of it. You know, hubbies make boo boos. you know,
oh,
but anyway, so yeah, these whole this new civilization thing. You're absolutely right. We originally forgot as Americans, it was we the people for the people by the people. You know, now it's we the government for the government by the government and some rich guys. And it's the rest of us are kind of basically slave labor. And I don't like the situation. Like you said, like I said in your chat, community. It has the very word unity in it, but we no longer have the unity. We no longer have any part of it. What we've got is a society based around have and have not. And the have nots are lashing out. But the problem is the have nots are lashing out at the haves, and the haves are blaming the have nots. And then they're pointing fingers at this group, they're pointing fingers at that group's pointing fingers at this group. And it's just turned into a big, massive web of chaos. And unfortunately, with that chaos comes crime. But there was not as much crime. Like if you talk to an old Cherokee or an old Apache or an old Navajo or anybody who's over 100 years old that's in a Native American tribe, and I'm sure you can attest to this, they're going to straight up tell you, before white man, we had little conflict. Before white man, we had no need for money. Before white man, we had no need of disease. We had no worry of law. We had no need for it, you know, because we lived in harmony, you know. And now we don't have that anymore. You know, Native American tribes used to trade with each other. You know, now they're so jaded by the world and they're so angry that they've lashed out at a lot of people. And I don't blame them. They have the most right to be angry as hell at every last American on here that isn't part of their tribe. They have very much the right, and the way I look at this is I'm the invader, not as in like I have to apologize for being white. But yes, my people invaded. That's just true. My ancestors Revolutionary War. My ancestors were came over with colonists. My ancestors came over with trappers. You know, so yeah, we invaded. We took over. We colonized. I hate to admit it, but it's true. It's just history. You know, and does that mean that I feel like I need to apologize for being a white man? Hell no, I didn't do it. My ancestors did. They did it everywhere. But do I need to follow in their example? No. I can create something better. I can work with somebody to do something better. I can help to make the next generation understand that the old school morals were not that bad. The old school ways of thinking and living where life was simple. You worried about your crops, you worried about making sure your family was taken care of, you worried about roof, food, and water. That's all you needed to worry about. Guys, do you realize that back in those days, people may have worked 25 hours a week and they spent the rest of the time enjoying it with their family? And grandma and grandpa didn't live in a different home. Mama and daddy didn't live in it. Everybody lived in the same dead burn home until you got married and then you built your own home. If your family didn't straight up let the little lady move in with you, I mean, that's just how it worked. Families stayed together. Now you barely got kids that want to even look at their mama and they 10 years old because they think they're 16. And this is not the America I was raised in, guys. You know, this is not the America I was born to. I was born with Mr. Rogers.
Won't you
Come
be
on,
my neighbor?
won't you be in my neighborhood? Sesame Street, you know. Kermit, it's the Muppet Show. Yay! Come on now. Animal was the stuff, you know. And then they always taught great morals. They taught great lessons. Now we got SpongeBob. Yeah.
Which is mostly for people on drugs to watch. It's not actually made for children. It's made for people
It
on
is
drugs
not.
to watch. I mean,
But
I'm not disparaging SpongeBob, as entertainment, but it's not Shakespeare. It's slapstick. It's no morals. It's just a show that is not as rich and in depth as something like Sesame Street, where you had to learn cooperation, you had to learn sharing, you had to learn teamwork. And these are
yeah,
qualities we need in America because when I think of Eastern Kentucky, which I think I may have mentioned a couple of times, but Eastern Kentucky had their water system befouled by chemicals. Like someone dumped
yeah,
chemicals in the water. And luckily, people eventually found out, they spoke out about it, but that could happen anywhere. If someone dumps chemicals into your water, you go to the government and you say that never happens again. But we let this
yeah.
happen over and over again across America, and then we say to ourselves, well, it wasn't my time. Our water is still safe. That shouldn't matter to you. They're
You
Americans.
should be outraged.
Have some pride in your country. And I say this as a person with an accent, but I'm still saying have pride in your country by saying these people in in Kentucky, they need your help because they need someone to stand up and say never again. Never again in America will any American doubt the quality of their water. All water should be checked. And if it isn't checked, pull your money out. Form a new civilization. Sounds like a good idea because then you could say water quality
What's
is
up,
something
Sebastian?
important.
Or what's up, SMB? How you doing, man? Sorry, he's getting a little pushy.
Uh,
Don't spam.
that's the person from last time.
Don't you spam now. I cut you out. Sorry, I had to use Troll's Bane.
I don't know. It's an important issue that we keep these lines of dialogue. You were talking about the unity in community. I'm talking about the calm in community, which stands for communication. Because you need
Yeah,
to have people of different skin colors, different religions, and just talk to each other about things that matter. Because your money matters to me. Because if you
yeah,
spend your money in systems that are ruining your health, and you were talking about the elderly, the grandparents living in the house with a growing family, they were actually healthier. You see older people in these homes and they just sit in a chair and they're ignored. They don't do anything,
yeah.
they don't go
Hang
anywhere,
on, I'm
and they
slowing
are
down. Hang on
ruining
just
their
a minute.
health. And these are people who should be healthy. They should reach 100 if they were living on a farm with their family, working in the fields. Well, you know what? Someone's got to shuck the corn. You know what? Grandma can shuck the corn. She has strong hands to do so. She is sharp of mind in order to work her fingers in order to shuck corn. That's the kind of level of familial bond that you need to have to make sure that the health of your family survives. We need to make changes
Yeah,
in we've strayed so far away, and then we complain when we go to the doctor. Ah, this hurts, this is wrong, oh, my marriage is falling apart. How often do you see your partner? How often?
oh, I got you. Hello, hello, Bob. My name is Clint Gage. This is my friend Ian. Um, anyway, so yeah, how often do you have to go to the doctor? I've got to go to the doctor every 3 months. And it's because of my schizophrenia. You know, and yeah, part of that schizophrenia is brought on by PTSD. You know, hold on a minute. Ha, I got a rabbit in my yard, but part of that is brought on by PTSD. I was severely abused as a child. Severely. Like I got broken bones from it. But I don't let it hold me down anymore or make me angry anymore. In fact, I'm actually friends with the uncle who did it now. Still, I forgave him and I moved on. Because considering I kind of got mine back when I broke his jaw in 3 pieces. But the whole thing about it is I forgave him. We communicated. We got past our differences, and that's why it ties into what you were saying. We got past our differences as human beings, and we learned to look at what we did have together. The good memories we had together, the good times we had together, and what we could provide for one another. So that ended up building a relationship with them. And yeah, we're not the same as being an uncle and a nephew, but we are good friends. you know so that worked out great. And if people could learn to sit down like a grown adult, not some wailing, temper tantrum throwing child, sit down like a grown man or a grown woman and say, hey, this is what I don't like, this is what I've heard. More than likely that person's going to turn around and be like, well, we don't do that, this is what we actually do. Well, then how come some of y'all have done it? Because some of us are bad, some of your people have been bad too. It's just like I had a conversation with a Muslim friend of mine, and everybody was like, how can you talk to a Muslim, you're American? And I told them, because I don't hold anything against them. And they were like, well, why? I said, because just like they have their extremists, I got white power supremacists in my culture. So I can't be upset at them when I got the same stuff. It's called hypocrisy when you get to that. And there is nothing worse in my mind than somebody who's going to be like turning their nose up 1 second and doing the same thing. You know, it just drives me nuts. But if you can learn to get past differences and look at the fact that every culture has something unique to provide the world with, it has either got some wisdom, artwork, food. Every culture has got something that it provides the world and makes it richer, makes it wealthier. If you combine all those together and get past the stupidity that is racism or xenophobia or whatever you want to call it, you're actually more into life individual. You're looking more into what makes us human. You're looking into more into what makes us people. Not what makes us a number or an object or a color or whatever. You know, you start to get this sense that you're just a small part of a big world, and you want to learn everything about that world. So that's just something about me.
You're a good person. You know, it shows. Every time you make a statement like that, I'm reminded of how I wish these dialogues were happening in our government or within the population on a regular scale. Because I'm hearing you and I'm thinking to myself, how often do we talk about the holes in our wallet? How the money just seeps out when we could plug it with maybe some community hacks. I mean, community hacks of there are towns that have a container with solar panels, and that's what the town plugs into.
Yep.
They told the grid, they told the utility companies, go F yourselves, go away. This is our town. We want our
This is
people
what
to
we gonna
have
do.
$50 or $100 back in their wallet so that they can afford groceries. So we have our own grid
Yeah.
and we plug those holes in our wallets. Do the same exact thing with food and like food stamps. You know, how many people are so proud that they don't admit they're poor? Like,
And you
how can you
see,
say that you're hungry and then you don't say that you're poor too? If you're hungry and you're not saying you're poor, you're lying to yourself. So let's
I'm absolutely
solve the
haven't ate.
separate there.
I haven't eaten a damn thing all day. I'm absolutely starving. You want to know the first thing I'm gonna say? I'm in an impoverished SOB. I have
Mhm.
no money until like tomorrow. So I get to wait until tonight to eat. I get to eat one meal a day just to save groceries.
You live that way, and I also say I'm a chef. I cook. You know, what would be so bad about going around your neighborhood and say, you know what I normally eat? What if I just chop that in half and then send it to a neighbor like you and just
Yeah.
say, here you go. I don't expect money for that. I expect help from that. Because every time that we say, oh, well, you know, that's what my eyes said that I was hungry for, and what I'm really hungry for is much smaller because I need to drink water because I'm dehydrated. People confuse hunger with thirst all the time. Americans are
This was full when I
dehydrated.
started. That was full when I started.
A man of your size needs to drink that much water or more.
Yeah.
So
I'm 215 to 218 pounds.
then you need to drink as well as eat hydrated food. You were talking about the cantaloupe earlier. You should be eating melons. You should, you know, because that's what health is. Health is the ability to say, you know what, I can afford fruits and vegetables. I like eating fruits and vegetables, not the
Yeah.
cheap option when I couldn't afford KFC. No offense to
And you
KFC.
see, I ate pizza, so I figured let's balance it out with a healthy dessert.
Oh, the life
At
choices
least it
of
was
the
homemade from
bourgeois.
scratch pizza.
Hope it was a good pizza there.
It was. It was. We made it supreme. Everything was from scratch. You know, the only thing that wasn't was the sausage that we topped it with. We went and bought Italian sausage chunks, but and pepperoni. I don't know how to make pepperoni. I can make sausage, but don't have the ingredients. I gotta wait until I shoot something this year when I go hog hunting.
That though, what if
Hmm?
that was a skill that you could learn and that you had those kind of things provided for you? Wouldn't you feel better about your meal? Wouldn't you feel better about eating in general if you had a complete control over the supply and the end product?
That's why I'm a hunter and a fisherman. Because when I go out and I catch or I shoot something to eat, guys, it makes me feel better. Because and not only that, the way I hunt is very, very native like. I go out, I find where the animals are walking through, and I find fresh tracks, and then I track that animal down. And then I shoot it and drag it home. There's no car, there's no nothing else. The intestines, except for the heart, which I bury as an offering to Scotty, which is the goddess of the hunt for my people. I bury the heart to her. I leave the intestines for the scavengers. And then the rest of it I use, you know. And we drag it all the way back home, throw it in the truck, and then that's when we take off. We don't, well, we drag, I say drag it home, we drag it to the car. but we don't ever take the car into the woods. We don't take a four-wheeler into the woods. We do not leave nothing but footprints. I even pick up my shells after I shoot. So we leave nothing but our tracks. And that's how it should be. You know. And it makes me feel a lot better because that animal had the same sporting chance I did. I'm just a better shot than he is of, you know, at spotting me. Which it doesn't help that I'm literally sitting in a bunch of palmettos or something like that, sitting in just a big ass bush where he can't see me at all, but I can see him. So, and the fishing part, that's just easy.
But you feel better when you can take the time to engage with your ecosystem, when you can feel that you have a place there. Because what is your place when you're in a supermarket? Hmm? The person who waits in line, is that really who you are as a person? Does that really define you? No, I don't think so. I think you're more yourself when you're out in the forest, hunting a deer, engaging yourself, using your body, using your muscles, using your brain in order to process all the information in the tracks. That's who you are as a person. And I want that ability for all of us. But you got to get out of these cities. These cities are just domesticating you like cattle. You become the deer.
Hmm. And you see, that's why I learned how to survive off grid because when I was young, because even as a child, I realized that I didn't like the way things were doing. I didn't like the fact that we didn't have the freedom that our ancestors did, where we could just walk out into the forest, build a house, and call it home and claim some territory. I hate that we can't do that anymore. You know, um, but at the same time, I do believe in having, wildlife refuges and stuff like that where the animals can stay and where that could be their home. Because it's like with the big thicket, you know, you can cull those areas and you can get food that you need for your family. And it's much healthier to let the animal go off and do its own thing. It's much leaner. You don't have anywhere near as not only that, but it's a fun way for father and son to bond. Even father and daughter. I know some women that are good hunters. You know, and it has nothing to do with the act of hunting itself. It literally, for me, it's everything to do with the memories being built. It's the joy of I brought home, get to see everybody smiling about because not only did I bring it home, but I cooked it and I get to see them happy and enjoying it. And oh, I caught this, and now my family gets 3 or 4 days worth of food, that we ain't got to go buy, and that works. That gives a great, real in-depth feeling, very hard to explain. That is like it's a euphoria. You're sitting there and you're just like, I can provide. I'm broke as a joke, but I can provide. You know, I can't buy clothes, but I can.
Same. How often have you seen me in this outfit? But Clint,
I have
people have
you
been
guys always see me in the
skeptical
same
about
clothes all the time. You
holistic
guys see me in the
health.
same clothes.
But that is holistic health, what you're describing there. That is holistic health because you are imbuing joy and happiness into the food. The food tastes different when you're happy. Every water can taste completely different when you're happy. When
Yeah.
you have a grasp of who you are as a person and you're surrounded by people who love you, you can
Oh yeah.
taste the difference. And that is beneficial to your health. And I have been trying my hardest with every single petition that I do to try and restore health to the American public because they depend on doctors to provide them pills, to provide them guidance, but they never say, could you just spend more time with your family? Could you, maybe take off a little extra from work and say, yeah, you'll have less money, you'll sleep deeper. So therefore, you can finish your projects on time because you're wide awake and alert the next day, and therefore you might get a promotion because that's how you rise up the ranks. Being a person
Yeah.
who redlines it every single day, that's unhealthy for the American people. They keep
And you
fighting
see,
for extra dollars instead of fighting for more health.
there's two things. These two medications are the only ones I'm worried about. This one helps with my epilepsy. This one helps with my schizophrenia. This is my antipsychotic. These are the only two I honestly need. But they've given me three more: two mood stabilizers and a nighttime sleep aid. When I can take some, you know, eat some what's that root? There's a specific root that you can chew on and it'll knock you out.
You
It's
mean
like a tranquilizer natural. Hmm?
you mean valerian root?
Yeah, valerian root. I
I'm
kept wanting to say
on the spot
vermilion, and I knew
there.
that was
Of
wrong.
course, I heard that.
I kept wanting to say vermilion root, and I knew it was wrong.
Oh Lord! You chew on
Yeah,
that, you'll get different results.
yeah. You going to end up going. You just gonna be done. Ooh, maybe I should have done that fast. Ooh, damn. Head rush.
But look at what your doctor said to you. Your doctor treated you like a plant. Just put this on top of your head and see the results instead of saying, "Are you tired? You need a sleep aid. Are you tired? Are you mentally exhausted? Do you feel safe?" These are the kind of questions that a doctor has asked, who's a credible doctor. But
Yeah,
most
good
doctors
doctor.
don't ask that question. They're just going to say, "How can I just make this situation go away?" And it's like there are different layers of issues. And sometimes you're not sleeping means that you have to take care of something. Be a man and take care of something. Don't just fall asleep and say that's tomorrow's issue. No.
Yeah,
I would ask more questions of yourself. I would ask more questions of your doctor. That's not medical
yeah.
advice. It's a person to person thing.
And somebody just took it a little personally a minute ago because you seen the guy that was spamming, and I told him to quit. You know, well, he just like cause you muted me, I'm gonna unsub. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, really? You're gonna be that sore about it? I told you quit spamming. So, guys, I'm gonna be a little bit more harsh when it comes down to that stuff. Okay? You
People should
know,
respect you, Clint. I mean, you're dropping knowledge on their heads. Knowledge that they
yeah,
should have gotten from their parents, should have gotten in school, from their friends. But they're coming to you now, and instead of listening, they just they just want to be rude. I'm sorry on their behalf then, because
no,
I was
a lot of them aren't. Almost all, I just got one every now and then that wants to spam. And that's about it. And I tell them, don't spam because I'm gonna put you out of commission for 24 hours. You
is
know,
there actually an
and
emoji
you can
for
come
spam?
back tomorrow.
That's funny.
But what's up, everybody? We're actually probably going to be ending this live a little early today. I got to call Jin Jin back and do some apology. So, oops, she's pretty mad at me. But I'll get over that. I just got to do some butt kissing.
That sounds so romantic when you say it like that. Say it with all that gusto and honesty when you speak to
Well,
Jen.
I never said that I was a romantic. I'm a little straight to the point. Well, I can be romantic from writing my novels. I've got some stuff which you are to come to a Black and Hills reading one night, brother. Come listen to that for sure, because that's how the way Dorian Scribesman, the main character, is seeing everything. His turns out to be real. Mine isn't, but it's kind of like being in my head. That's why I'm writing Black and Hills. So I'm hoping I could get more people to definitely come listening to it. Because it's going to be awesome. But yeah, guys, we're probably going to end this one 20 minutes early so that I could go on ahead and not lose my girlfriend today.
Thank
I
you so
doubt
much
I will.
for having me
I
today.
doubt I will.
And thank you to the audience for, listening and maybe gaining something from the conversation. Please like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. My name is Ian Ileana. Thank you, Clint, for having me, and I hope to see you again soon.
I'm glad I can make you feel better, Bubba, because when I seen you earlier, you were totally upset.
Hmm.
You know,
Thank you, Clint.
so no problem, my friend. Have a good night. All right, everybody. Thank you so much um, for enjoying that little conversation with my friend. He really needed some help. So we jumped on here to talk to him real quick. And that kind of became afternoon hangout. And I'm sorry about not really reading all y'all's messages and everything and letting y'all discuss amongst yourselves. But I hope you really enjoyed the show, to be honest. And yeah, I know you was late, Bubba. It's all good. But yes, we did lose a subscriber on this show, but at the same time, we probably gained one or two. I hope. But it's all good. And we'll see everybody here next time. Just remember, guys, don't spam. If I ask you to quit doing something, please quit. So yeah, everybody, Raymond's trying to hit 1,000 subs. But yeah, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed me getting back to my roots for a little bit. I know we didn't do a scald this show, but it was definitely because Ian needed to be heard. He feels very hurt and is ready to try to go to Canada for sure. So, guys, let's make sure we go support him. Check out the description. Go check out his channel. You'll be able to find her and try to sign his petitions and stuff, guys. Even if you don't believe in it, just try to give him a helping hand. All right. Okay, guys. We'll check y'all next time. Love y'all. Y'all the backbone of the channel. Y'all, I absolutely couldn't do this without y'all. So I'm glad y'all enjoyed the happier show today. Come on back next time, everybody. We'll see you then. So, oh, I think you'll hit 1,000 subs there, Raymond. I think you will. Well, anyway, guys, we'll see you next time. This has been Clint Gage. And later, everybody. See you from the swamp. Later from a gator. Love your mama. Love your papa. Love yourself. Be kind. Always find a way to help. See you soon. If I can hit the button.